So pump and dump. Wow. Like, how do you? Don't you get a lot of terrible like feedback and so? What's it been like? Just speaking your mind. Because honestly, being on social media, speaking, having strong opinions, right?
Yeah.
It's not the
You get
easiest
cancelled.
thing to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
people been subtweeting me saying that I'm not in stock top tens and how I'm a bad man and how I come out of nowhere and all those things. But it's just a dynamic. Sometimes it's just about the danger of being different. Again, I'm comfortable with going against the grain because I have my receipts. I'm a researched person. I don't
Yeah.
just form my opinions out of the blue. I've gotten a lot of flack. People even have reached out to my coworkers to send messages to me. You know, um, some very aggressive things were said about me to my
Mm,
coworkers. To basically pass on the message. But it's
wow.
crazy because I didn't call anybody's name. I never had. I never have. I haven't directed my attention to any names or you
Mm-hmm.
know even securities until now. I was just giving case studies of what looks pumpish.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, people have come out swinging. So I'm saying, if it doesn't apply to you, then why are you swinging? It's just weird. So yeah,
Fair. Fair. Fair.
just
Okay.
look at who has been talking. That's all I will say. And also, what I will say is, people have messaged me on Twitter. Why you don't tell the FSC? Does the FSC knows, and the FSC has acted.
I mean,
Just
it's
because there's no
their job.
publication, it doesn't mean that there hasn't been any action. The FSC has acted, but the FSC has a certain sequence in terms of how they approach certain matters. But they have acted and they are aware. But what's not covered is the fact that there are persons who are in the space who don't even know one thing different from the other. So my focus has always been on investors who don't know what a pump and dump is. It has never been on the perpetrators of same. I'm not interested in the perpetrators. I'm interested in people who unknowingly fall into these situations. And I've been saying, hey guys, these things exist. These are the parameters, and what seems to be one thing doesn't always materialize as such.
Mm. So
That has
one.
been my priority.
Okay, fair. One thing I would say from it's a concern I've had with when this whole pump and dump thing came on the timeline and so on. And it's even me and Preston, it's limitless, right? Going forward, how do we? Because we can be seen as pumping and dumping. Even our one of our look at one of our earlier episodes. We did a stocks to watch, right? We're just talking about stocks we liked on the market, where we expect them to go throughout the year. We may not have owned them or anything. I started buying a stock when I made that video. I guess, well, I guess you can deduce because there are only five of them. But I started buying a stock before we released that video, but we were just talking about it on the podcast. In fact, a lot of our talk is literally just impromptu. We just come together and we say, all right, we're going to do a stocks to watch episode. You come up with three, you come up with three, and we're just going to talk about them and why we like them, right? And so I was passively watching it until I made the video and said, all right, maybe I should. I'm convincing myself now. Like, I'm talking about all these good things about this stock and so on. Why I like it, why I think it'll reach there. And I'm just like, but Theon, this is a clear buy, right? So I've been buying the stock, but that can be misconstrued as maybe pumping and dumping because we have a platform, right? And that's always a consideration. If you have a platform, you have a voice. People are listening, right? Yes, we say this is not investment advice or so on, but somebody may just take up themselves and buy it because, oh, him say or she say or blah 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 say. So it's always, and then the sequence of events. If you go back to your presentation, it's we buy security in silence, tout the security publicly, and then people react by buying the security and sell, and then we sell the security, while still touting to maximize returns. So that, in my opinion, can be seen as pump and dump. So it's always now. It's hard for me as somebody that just talks about finance, just has fun just talking about finance. I now have to watch what I say because somebody can take it. So it's just tricky. It's just very tricky for us because we like stocks, so we're gonna talk about them. We're gonna talk about the stocks we like. Yeah, we talk about the stocks we don't like too. We've been very public about the ones that we don't
Mhm,
like, and certain ones doing certain corporate actions that we don't like, and this and that. But if you
mhm.
like the stock, you gotta talk about it. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
tricky.
remember to I I'm very big on talking about stocks too. I've been on Stocks on the Rocks. I've been on LGI. I've been
Hmm.
on Kalila for almost 2 years straight talking about stocks. So it was never a case of whether or not people were talking about stocks, but more so a case of intent. Remember that was in the presentation. It is
Yes,
intent. And remember, I
that's
was
very true.
also saying in our conversation that returns come from somewhere. They're not random.
Hmm.
There's randomness in securities prices, but over longer time frames, they're
Hmm.
not as random. And that's for different reasons, but that's just really the distinction. So again, what is the intent? Is it that you're engineering these returns
Hmm.
by you touting them, or is it just that you're a fan and you're having a discussion and you're talking from the sidelines? It's almost like a sport. There's a
Yeah.
difference because one is a matter of engineering a situation. So, for example, the reason I spoke about AMC is because AMC had trash fundamentals. There's nobody going to movies, but the stock was going like this. So
Yeah.
there's a disconnect between what was happening with the stock and what was happening with the price. And it wasn't just that people were anticipating a boom in patronage that caused that price action. What caused the price action was the pump. Same thing for Siboney. Siboney is a shell company of an investment portfolio of properties, actually hotels, and it was basically gutted in FinSac, and now it still trades as a shell. So as an economic entity, it really has no use. But the price was like this, and it crashed thereafter, and it moved largely because of the pump. Maybe all of the price action wasn't because of a pump, but there were pumps in the time period that we showed on the graph. And I don't think there's any debate around whether or not there was a pump. There was a huge thing on social media about it. People were talking about it. It's not a secret. So it's there for all to see.
Mm.
Um, Again, it's not a secret. FSC knows about it. They've taken action. Um, I don't need to tell FSC to do their job. I need to talk to young investors who are coming up in this thing just like me. I'm a young investor, but I have a little more experience. So I can say, hey guys, all is not as it appears. Because if I know that there are people who are being taken advantage of, why would I not speak about that? Knowingly, I'm an investment professional. Why would I not tell people that, hey, you're being taken advantage of? I have to remember that, a
Mm.
part of being in a prof. So let's go deep. There's a difference between being a worker
Hmm.
and being a professional. Somebody who is a worker goes to work, get their pay, and go home after work. A professional is somebody who is a part of a profession. They're part of a community of persons who have a vested interest in their practice for different reasons. They set standards, they talk about regulations, they talk about risk factors. That is what makes something a profession, and professionals are a part of that. I'm an investment professional because of not just what I do every day, but because I recognize that I'm a part of something bigger than me, and I'm going to speak about the things that can damage what I do every day, and also the livelihood of other people who just don't know. So why would I not speak about it? And what's wrong with speaking about fraud? Since when is that a problem? I'm being attacked for talking about fraud. We talk about fraud in other instances. We talk about chopping the line. That's a form of fraud. So if we can speak openly about chopping, why can't we speak openly about pump and dumps? It's really weird. And there's
Mm.
this hypocrisy in the space where we like to talk about, you know, some of the things that are problematic in Jamaica. But once somebody we likes is doing it, it's fine. So if my brethren a chop the line, you mustn't talk about that because you're bad mind and you don't want to see the man drive Benz and yo hype up yourself, youth. Yeah man, you want to be like the man chewing on a girl or whatever. So what's wrong? I mean, I do this. It's not a hobby for me. And
Yeah.
I think people deserve to know. They deserve to know. If you want to participate in a pump, then that's on you. You're a grown adult. But you should know that you're in a pump, and people don't know.
Mm. Okay, fair.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying, really.
Nice,
And
nice.
I, I
I love
gladly
how
be,
you clear the air still, like, because
I
a lot
gladly
of
be that
people.
guy.
Sorry, go ahead, bro.
No, I'm saying I gladly be that guy. I
Mm-hmm.
gladly be
Dr.
Doctor
Doom.
Doom. I will be that guy
Own it,
because
bro.
That's
this is
gonna be
not
the
a hobby.
episode
I
title
don't do
now.
this because
Mm-hmm.
I'm bored or man, looking forward. I don't need it. You know, if
Yeah,
I was to delete all my social media, nothing would change. I don't
fair.
need social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I do this because people deserve to know.
Fair, fair. Okay. I respect for talking about it. I love the presentation, honestly.
Salute,
This,
bro, and thank you for reaching out. People know
yeah,
you
man.
reach out and say, "Oh, bro, talk about this thing," because I don't
Bro,
want it
enough
seem
people
like
come to us and we're asking, yo, you should. Well, not enough people. I think one person I know of,
yeah,
two people were just like, yo, including Preston. Preston's the second person, but somebody
yeah,
said it
yeah,
actually before Preston. It's like, yo, you should have Julian on a podcast. We can talk, but we like to talk about these current things. So it's exciting to me, like, and a lot of people do actually want to learn about these. Somebody here pump and dump, and they're like, yo, what is this?
yeah. What is?
Um, yeah,
No, I see people say pump and dumps can happen on JC, and I'm like, yo, pumps
yeah,
can happen anywhere. There's
anywhere
like,
exactly.
yeah, because it's really, and then so like the not the FSC, the SEC, they spoke about how microcap securities are more susceptible to pumps. That's because of liquidity, right? And assets that are less liquid are easier to move. So
Mm-hmm,
it means that let's look at it in terms of physics. If you have a smaller object, it's not going to take as much effort to move it. If you have a larger object, it's going to take way more effort to move it. So if it is that I have, let's say, let's just throw out a random figure. Let's say I have $100,000 and I can get 30 other persons with $100,000 to do exactly what I'm doing at a given point in time, then the price will move significantly in a short space of time. If we can all make a coordinated move in a week, then we can double our money in a week, knowingly. And if we can get more people to jump on the train, then it can move past the point of doubling. And once that is being done on purpose, especially in a way that the second set of people don't know what's happening, and that is actually being used as the investment thesis, that's where you have a problem. Because you're intentionally setting up another set of people for you to just sell to and for them to basically be holding the back. Because it's basically seen as how can I put it? It's seen as trying to use the right words. It's seen as putting one set of persons at an advantage over another, and that the advantage itself that is created by you and the other persons that you spoke to, that is where the return is, and the
mm-hmm,
return is nowhere else. So it's not like Fontana is opening a new location and you're early and you're building up a position and you tell the bridging them and say, "Yo, I do this." You get me? That's different from because Fontana is now a different business because they have a new location, so their capacity is now different. For example, with Cinco or Jamaica Brawlers, they've been building their capacity and they
mm-hmm,
want to be early because the earnings should expand because they have greater capacity and blah 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 blah. Those things are avenues of return. But if your chief avenue of return is the fact that you're hyping it up so that other people will buy it from you at a higher price, and they don't know that that's what's happening, right? They're just trying to buy the return
mm,
because people buy returns. They buy return and sell losses, but we'll go into that afterwards. If that is what your investment thesis is, that's a different story
yeah,
because it's the same issue with front running. Front running is knowing that people are going to enter an investment position and you buying it up before so that they will come in after and drive up your appreciation. So you're basically using people to drive your appreciation and they don't know about that. Front running is also illegal. Um, Insider trading, it's also illegal because what you're doing is creating an informational disadvantage. You
mm-hmm,
know that John Brown is going to take over from Don Webby in Grace, and John Brown is going to come with some artificial intelligence that's going to destroy all the other food businesses and just keep Grace alone. So you're going to use the fact that you are an insider and you know this information long before everybody else are going to act on it.
Mm-hmm.
You are putting everybody else at a disadvantage, right? So again, markets are not totally fair and they never will be, but certain aspects of unfairness is what makes them illegal
Yeah.
because markets are supposed to be competitive. So you're supposed to compete on as level a playing field as there can be. So if it is that you research the news, right? You use the news to do your research and you read the Friday paper, you read the Wednesday paper, and Preston, Theon, and myself, we all have the same information. But if I interpret that information in such a way that I can convert signals and spot signals that you can see, then that's fair game because I've typically earned it. But
Mm-hmm.
if it is that I'm going to basically the smokes and mirrors and create a situation, I'm going to say, boy, yo, say Berger look good. Yeah, man, Berger amazing, and we can't too say why Berger amazing, but just pray the thing, man. Berger amazing, and you bought it, right? And I know that you're going to sell it because I said that to you, and I'm selling it to you while you're basically driving up the price. That's a different situation than everything I just said a while ago. So we're creating points of differentiation. We're not just going to say, yeah, man, a man buy a thing and a man loves stocks, so everybody for talk about stocks. I love talking about stocks too. I
Yeah.
was talking about stocks when people used to just retweet the thing and say, yo, what y'all talk about? Yo, more talk about party and girl and them thing there. I was talking about stocks before it was cool. Me tell you, me a nerd, brother.
Mm-hmm. I actually
Isn't it?
met you at a Stocks on the Rocks, but this is when I was. This is an episode with Simon that we did earlier this year, a couple months ago, and we were talking about how Stocks on the Rocks used to be at the at Palisadoes first, but there was one time where it was held at, I think it was when the place was still Scotches. And I think it was back in 2019, or I don't know if it was still
Yeah, that was
Scotches or
before
so
the
on.
pandemic.
Yeah, it was before the pandemic, and that's when I was just getting into stocks. So I followed you on Twitter. I followed a bunch of hashtag finance Twitter and so on, and I followed you.
Yeah.
You're definitely one of them. And yeah, I saw you and Simon, and we were talking about stocks, and I introduced myself and so on. And that's when I remembered this is the guy that talks about stocks. Like he, but he talks the boring stuff. Like it wasn't flashy and so on. It was normally like he used to tweet like just like boring stuff.
Cash
But
flow statements,
and
balance
talking
sheet.
about you know,
Everyone's like,
yeah,
"Oh, I don't want to hear about a balance sheet. Just want to hear
Yeah,
mm,
yeah,
profit."
but
yeah. Yeah,
we
come
know
on.
that there's more than meets the eye still. But
Yeah.
social media is different, Like I don't even on my regular social media account, I don't really tweet much about stocks. Right, that's more I push that from like the Limitless account or something like that. But on my own, I don't. So what our point is like, yeah, you may tweet the quote unquote boring stuff, but I think a lot of people see that and don't know, yo, this man knows a lot about the market still. Like this man been in equities for how long? Yes, you know to read a balance sheet or something, but you also invest, right? Tell us more about that. Like what's your what do you invest in? Is it mainly just stocks? Because you say you're an equities man. So is that
Yeah.
like the majority of what's in your portfolio right now? Your investment portfolio.
I invest mostly in equities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I invest both in international markets and on the JSE. Right now, though, my focus is more on expanding my horizons. So I'm reading a lot in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I think real estate is a very efficient store of wealth, especially in Jamaica. But I don't want to just buy something because it looks pretty. I want to understand the drivers of real estate. For example, um, many times when I see conversations on the timeline about properties and why properties are expensive,
Yeah.
people don't realize that they're paying for the area. The area actually carries a price.
Yeah.
It's not just a house. So you can copy and paste the same property in a different location, it would have a different price. But many
Mm-hmm.
times people say, boy, the place popped down and I got them a charge for rent. You're paying for the area.
Facts.
And you find out the value of the house and the rent, they are correlated. So if you're in an area where property values are higher, the rent will also be higher. These things are not random.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things that I'm looking at. Also, there are also some investment opportunities that I'm looking at. Um,
Do you have a preference between stocks versus real estate?
no, because I think they shine in their own way. They each shine in their own way, and I think they are complementary. I wouldn't say I have a preference.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, I spend more time looking at companies than real estate on a whole. Um, I wouldn't. Hey, let me just put it out there. I'm not this big real estate mogul, right? I'm just learning. I'm studying.
Okay, fair.
But in terms of where most of
I
my
know
investment,
almost nothing about real estate, so like
yeah. And I
bare
feel
minimum.
like when we talk about investments,
Mm-hmm.
it should be from the standpoint of different asset classes because each have their own merit. It's almost like vitamins in the diet or nutrients in the diet. They each play a different role. So the
Yeah,
role that equities play is different from the role that real estate plays. It's not, oh, they have to choose between vitamin A and vitamin D. Vitamin A and D play together. You don't
yeah,
choose one vitamin over the other. And then the situation that you're in might call more for one thing than the other. So you're young, right? You don't have any children. You're not married. You don't have a wife that will cuss you off if you lose 300 grand.
yeah,
Go in, go
yeah,
hard. Like
yeah.
making mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
fail fast. So when you hear me talking, I'm not saying that people mustn't take risk. I'm moderate to aggressive. I'm just saying that if we're gonna create a market that's gonna grow, because remember, I should have started with this. Markets are built on trust. Markets are built on trust. When I put my money in a company, I am expecting to get my money back at a certain point. That is trust.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
follow?
true. Yes.
Um, Again, we're taking risk, so everything is a matter of probability. But the
Mm-hmm.
fact is, when I do a trade with a securities dealer, I expect that securities dealer to return my money when I need it. That's trust.
Yeah.
So if we are doing things that destroy trust, we're essentially putting the viability of the market at risk. And what we need to do is to think global. If we're in a market where international investors won't look, it means that the upside and the potential for the market is extremely limited because most of the money in the investable universe is outside of Jamaica.
Yeah.
So, and we do have international investors that look at Jamaica. For example, there's a preference share that's listed from the Canadian company. I'm not remembering the name of it right now. Equity
The
Line, Equity Line, right? That's
uh
not Jamaican. That's a Canadian company. You
okay.
guys look confused. Yeah, that's a
Yeah, I'm
Canadian
kind of
company.
confused
Yeah,
because
man.
because you said preference share. I definitely don't know much about that
Yeah,
equity
yeah, yeah,
line.
yeah. Yeah. It just shows that some Canadians listed their securities on the JSE. Look
Mm,
at JSE. Um, if we have more situations like that, then we could have more assets to choose from, and we can get exposures to different markets or different economies, I should say, through our
mm-hmm,
financial market,
mm-hmm.
and that would then open up more opportunity for Jamaica and Jamaicans. So it's it's all connected.
Yeah, yeah.
I
What
want
do
you
you?
guys to have more things to choose from. I want you guys to be in a market that, or all of us, not you guys, all
Mm-hmm,
of us, to have more choice and to have more upside and to have more things to look at. But if the man them think that all of Jamaica is fraud, so you have chopping the line and then you have pump and dump and then the politician them teeth is just
mm-hmm.
like, why am I
Yeah,
investing here?
SSL.
It's a
Yeah,
big chop.
yeah. You're right. The market really and truly is built on trust.
Yeah,
Um,
believe it or not.
because you take your money, you put it in this stock, you hope it actually buy the stock,
Goes up.
and you hope it goes up and so on, and you hope it makes a return. But you
Yeah,
trust that the system works, that there are things in place that will, allow proper order, So yeah,
yeah,
it is
yeah.
built in trust. It's built on
Disorderly
trust.
disorderly markets, there are problems. Even with the JSC, they have a lot of work to do in
Hmm.
terms of improving the technology and efficiency of their systems.
Hmm.
Um, I want the JSC to improve. There are some other issues I have a problem with. So like The quality of MD&A's, management discussion and analysis, it's
We were
horrible.
talking about this recently, and
Yeah,
somebody in some group chat was saying, "Yo, this the JSC needs to, or I don't know if it's JSC or maybe even FSC or somebody needs to look at that and be like, yo, there should be something a bit more standard." Because sometimes there's almost nothing in the MJNA don't even tell you nothing in a lot of these companies. Like, why
yeah,
bother
it's
write
a
it?
huge problem. It's a huge
Yeah.
problem because what I'll challenge you to do
Mm-hmm.
is to look at a portal for international securities. It's called EDGAR,
Mm-hmm.
EDGAR. So it's edgar.sec
Mm-hmm. I
.gov,
see
I
it.
think. And when you go in, you look at 10K or 10Q. The 10Qs are the quarterly reports of the different companies, and the 10K is annual reports. So, for example, Nike or Starbucks or Amazon or Apple, when you look at their MD&As, they put you inside the business. It's
Mm.
very comprehensive. You have segment analysis. All the things that happened in the business are being put into context. So management is bringing it inside the business, so you know what you're investing in.
Yeah.
Telling me that revenue went up and profit went down is not putting me in the business.
Exactly. We can see
So
that in the financial statement. Don't just drop it right there and leave it at that for the MD&A.
yeah, yeah,
So
we need management to guide us.
yeah,
So I think JSE needs to push that more, and the
yeah.
JSE needs to overhaul their website. I think it's poorly designed. There's a lot of dead
I
space
don't
on
use
it.
it anymore. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I
Like
think too
it's
that their their platforms are a bit clunky sometimes. And I'm pro JC. Let's get it straight.
yeah,
But as a professional, I think there are issues. The fact that they made price data harder to get is a backward step.
yeah.
Why do I have to pay for price information? I mean, that's ridiculous.
God, somebody
Try
said
to
it.
find
Oh
other
God.
ways to monetize and add value.
Yeah,
Offer courses to more people. A lot of people don't know about JC courses and they would pay for it. If they're paying for courses from other persons, why wouldn't they pay for JC courses? But people just don't know. Um, I'm pro JC, but JC has a lot of work to do.
hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, even the when you go on there, you don't see the moving averages, for example. Um,
And I don't
and
think
even
a
the
lot of that would
opportunity
take too
information.
much time because it's just a graph you're creating. You already have the data, so I think in my opinion, I feel like they just need stronger management or somebody that actually is willing to overhaul a lot of the
And
the
someone young.
archaic thing. Yes, yes, they need somebody young in management that's willing
Which
to like
website
just.
was that you were using, Julian, for the presentation? So they show they have the
I don't think that's a
information on
website.
all the, what was it?
Oh, that's Bloomberg Terminal.
Oh, really?
So is it like you download the data and then upload it into the terminal, or the terminal actually just pulls from the JSE?
The latter. The terminal pulls from the API, the JSC's
Oh,
API.
oh
Yeah,
wow.
it's a big feeding hub. So it pulls from various data feeds and basically collates it. So whenever you're typing in a command, it's going to pull the information that you want. Um, so think about it like it's almost like Jarvis. It just doesn't have a voice, but it's like Jarvis. For the Marvel fans, they know what Jarvis is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Jarvis. It's a command-driven interface, and
Hmm.
when you enter the command, it basically pulls up the information you want, and you can customize what you're looking for,
Yeah,
customize the search.
because I
Use it
like
a
some
lot
of
of
the
different stuff.
stuff. I like some of the stuff I was seeing.
Yeah, man. But what I can do is recommend Yahoo Finance. It gives you a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, like relative strength indices. Um, you can look at moving averages in real time and all of that for free, right?
Does it
So you
for
don't need a
JSE
Bloomberg.
stocks?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
For US securities.
mm,
But if JSE could take guidance from Yahoo Finance, that would be great because the interface is really good. It's user friendly. I
Yeah,
can
and
send you the link.
you can
Yeah,
access information easy. I've used Yahoo Finance. You can access
yeah, man. It's
information
very good
very
and it's
easily.
accurate.
Yeah. You know what I wish? I wish a lot of companies would submit their financials in like a spreadsheet format. I
Oh
think
yeah, I forgot that too. The
I
man them
think
always scan. They keep
yeah,
scanning the stuff.
the
So when
scan
you
is
can't search.
Sometimes,
Not a
yeah,
certain
sometimes
document.
they don't scan it properly. Yeah,
Ridiculous.
Yeah, you
you
can't
So
can't
you can't
search.
even
you
go to
can't
the section
copy.
you want.
You can't copy.
They just
Yeah,
make
it's
it
like
harder,
punishment.
and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a punishment. They just make it harder for no reason. Like, what purpose does that serve? I don't know. I don't know.
I
I'm
think
just
some
a
of the
doctor.
people who make these decisions,
Yeah.
they're not underground.
They're
So
not
they
investing.
don't know.
And they're not aware
You
of
say,
like yeah.
Preston. I say that, Preston. Anyway, um, yeah. So I'll just say there's a disconnect
Yeah.